This video discusses the third edition of Regardie the Middle Pillar. Besides examining my favorite parts, I'll give some background on the book coming into being close to a century ago. Annotated and edited by Sandra Tabatha and Chic Cicero, this version of the Middle Pillar is jam-packed with information, so with this video I'm only scratching the surface. A modern occult classic. Regarded as a modern magical classic by Donald Michael Kraig, Regardie the Middle Pillar is often one of the first books millennial magicians get. Essential to those working with Qabalah, the book bridges the Western and Eastern systems with the psychoanalytic models of Georg Groddeck, Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung and Roberto Assagioli. The impact on modern scholars. Speaking of that, and based on my research, the Middle Pillar played a crucial role for the careers and practices of people like David Shoemaker, Dr. Christopher Hyatt and Sandra Tabatha and Chic Cicero, who added new material to it. Background. The Middle Pillar was first published in 1938, 1 year after Regardie published the Golden Dawn volumes such as other books on the same system. Back then, that was pretty unthinkable because of the secrecy veiling Western occultism. Yet, having unmatched understanding, Regardie went further, recognizing magic and psychology go hand in hand. Apparently, they both deal with the same thing, which is the human mind. Mind and magic. Quote, "It would be totally absurd for anyone to minimize all that has been achieved by modern psychology due to the efforts of such astute investigators as Freud and Jung. But it is abundantly clear that their protagonists, psychological extremists, go entirely too far in disclaiming the intelligence and insight of our predecessors. Some orthodox diehards may question the relationship of modern psychology with discredited Oriental and archaic techniques for the unfolding of man's higher spiritual nature. In practice, however, such a relationship does inevitably exist. It is a fact of clinical and consulting room experience." Unquote. The psychologies of the past. Regardie calls yoga and magic the psychologies of the past. He explains that psychology's primary advance is making all its devices available to the average person, whereas practicing magic was only possible for a select few in the past. The author views magic and psychology as the two halves of the same system, just like he views the mind and the body as the two segments of the same mind-body organism, as he calls it elsewhere. Magic and psychology, Regardie explains, share the same goal, the integration of the human personality, so there's unity between the different functions and the human being. In the same section, Regardie emphasizes one of the things he is most well known for, namely, some form of psychoanalysis should be essential when approaching the great work, and this, he clarifies, provides the aspirant with a higher degree of self-knowledge. Quote, "Possibly in the first time in the history of civilized thought, there is a technique which is of inestimable value to the average man. It is of supreme value to the student of magic and mysticism who too often labors under several delusions of what it is that he hopes to accomplish and in what length of time he will do so. A study of analysis will prove first of all that he cannot proceed quicker than his own unconscious permits him. This will prevent gate crashing and an irrational enthusiasm and desire for speed." Unquote. The psyche of the student of magic and mysticism, Regardie explains, is cloaked with infantile and adolescent predilections which haven't been recognized as such. He emphasizes that there's fear underneath each activity, which is the monster psychoanalysis allows you to deal with. Not witchcraft. Regardie makes a clear distinction between magic and witchcraft and demonolatry. Defining the two latter as pathologies, he explained that their association with magic results from the masses' ignorance. He adds that just like magic, psychology also needs to be more understood. Wicca is okay. Regarding Wicca as positive and life-affirming, later the Ciceros clarify Regardie really didn't mean the system of Gerald Gardner, but the medieval superstitions and hexes leading to the Salem witch trials. Differences between the systems. Acknowledging the commonalities between psychology and magic, Regardie views the basic division between conscious and unconscious as quote-unquote simple and inadequate. He knows that magic considers the human being as having the potential to become something far greater than any school of psychology would allow. Think of LHP followers regarding the human as a machine capable of becoming a god or, as Don Webb says, ever-evolving consciousness. The libido. The Middle Pillar discusses the different ways Freud and Jung explain the libido. While the first emphasizes the sexual urge, the second considers it the totality of psychic energy, vitality, and expression through instinct, desire, and function. The collective unconscious. Regardie points out that the collective unconscious, the way we know it today, is the same medieval alchemists defined as anima mundi, or the soul of the world. And that reminds me of Gary Wachman saying that Western culture essentially separated itself from that, or at least did so to a very unhealthy and destructive degree. The Tree of Life. After covering the basics of the three pillars, which you can learn more about in my video on the subject, Regardie provides attributions between Qabalah and various schools of psychoanalysis. The author also notes that Assagioli's division of the psyche is remarkably similar to the Kabbalistic model of the soul. Yechida, the monad. Located in Keter, Yechida corresponds to the Buddha nature in the Eastern sciences, that is the intrinsically pure essence of the mind. Yechida is the innermost kernel, the deepest core of the self. Unconscious to the everyday awareness, Yechida in Jungian sense is the life force and the libido. Regardie attributes Yechida to what the pioneer of psychosomatic medicines Georg Groddeck calls it as or does as. Groddeck believed that the unconscious in Freudian sense is a precursor to the reason or the brain-mind, which modern researchers call the thinking brain. Yet he also believed that it was the precursor of the unconscious, orchestrating everything in one's life from the moment of their birth. The thinking and the emotional brain. This reminds me of the modern neuroecologist Baba Schiff explaining the dynamic between our thinking or reasoning and emotional brains. Particularly how the first never really make the decisions, but only justifies those the emotional brains already made. This perspective was also shared by Dr. Christopher Hyatt, who was a Regardie student, and more about it you can learn in my second book, Discipline or Something Else, such as in my review of Hyatt's The Psychopath's Bible. Comment. Elsewhere, the Ciceros note that the classic Freudian id corresponds much better to the Nephesh than the Yechida, and based on my research, this perspective is shared by David Shoemaker. It also makes much more sense to me. Let me know if the same applies to you. The true divine self. Regardie attributes the Yechida to what Roberto Assagioli defined as the higher or the true divine self. It is the quintessence of our spiritual nature and the part of us that is nearest to the divine. Being the Tao in the Chinese system, this has various translations, and while that includes God, Go and Heaven, Regardie considers Jung the closest with his use of the term meaning. It is meaning as it provides meaning for life and the human being. The Supernal Triad. While Yechida is the innermost kernel, it has its layers. The innermost of these are Chiah and Neshamah. Attributing to yin and yang, these are located in Chokhmah and Binah. Rather than being separated, these three operate as one unit, and this I think is best explained in one my dedicates the Chicken Qabalah of Rabbi Wamed Ben Clifford, a review of which you can watch on this channel. Chiah and Neshamah. Located in Chokhmah, Chiah symbolizes the masculine soul, the supernal father and the animus. It is the source of power of action, the logos principle and the first creative vehicle of the Yechida. Chiah means animal life, whereas Neshamah means understanding and love, which I think reminds us of the Lust card, an examination of which you can watch on this channel. To help understand the dynamics between anima and animus, Regardie suggests John Corey's ABC of Jung psychology. Neshamah in Binah. The Neshamah in Binah is the intuitive soul, also the Shekinah, the Gnostic Sophia, the Anima and the Supernal Mother, such as the source of deeper perception, comprehension and understanding. It is the feminine passive force containing one spiritual vision of intuition and imagination. It also forms the world of ideas Braya. The parts of the soul. The Greater Neshamah or the Neshamah as a whole is our deepest consciousness and most authentic desire. It is the intuitive mind which shouldn't be confused with Freud's superego. This part of the soul becomes available only after the person is spiritually awakened, and Regardie attributes the Neshamah to the higher unconscious or the superconscious within the system of Roberto Assagioli. The abyss and the At. Right beneath the Neshamah, there's the abyss. The middle pillar defines that as the intersection of mortal and eternal, personal and transpersonal, separatedness and unity. Centered in the abyss, the At, the shadowy Sephira, serves as a bridge between the Neshamah and the middle soul. Ruach. Called Ruach, the middle part of the soul is the rational self, comprising Sephirot, Hesed, Geburah, Tiferet, Netzach and Hod. Regardie attributes the Kabbalistic Ruach to the middle unconscious, the field of consciousness and the ego of Assagioli's system. The higher self or lower genius or HGA is located in Tiferet, the sphere of the sun, and achieving the great work, reaching the level of 5=6 or Adeptus Minor. The middle pillar also attributes the persona of the Jungian system as a part of the Ruach. The Nephesh is the lower self residing in Yesod. The author attributes the Nephesh to Assagioli's lower unconscious. The reason is that its functions include primal instincts and drives such as animal vitality. It correlates to the weakest components of the collective unconscious and the reptilian brain. The Nephesh, Regardie explains, is the seat of the shadow self in the Jungian system, the dark subconscious filled with all sorts of unacceptable desires, conflicting with societal norms and even one's own conduct. It is also partially correlated to the Freudian id with its demands for instant gratification. Adopted by the masses as the default way of dealing with their issues, suppressing and banishing personal conflicts to the sphere of the Nephesh isn't just unproductive, but plain unhealthy. What that does is filling your Nephesh with all hosts of complexes, phobias, delusions and urges, eventually ruining your life. It also creates dangerous dualism, as besides primal energy and beauty crucial to magic and personal development, the Nephesh also holds unconscious impulses. The Shadow Self. The Shadow is an alter ego encompassing personal and collective psychic elements incompatible with the selected conduct or character. Being some of an independent personality, the Shadow is usually the exact opposite of what the person is and aims to be. It often works in that direction, counterbalancing the ego. Although the Shadow can never be fully assimilated, it invigorates and empowers the conscious mind when adequately dealt with. Magick and Psychotherapy. Rather than denying them, Magick and Psychotherapy aim to integrate the Nephesh and the Shadow so the aspirant can further their self-realization, advancing on the path. Quote, in magical orders such as the Golden Dawn, this is accomplished through initiation rituals which heighten the awareness of the student, combined with intellectual teachings and personal meditations, rituals, visualizations, invocations, and exercises such as the Middle Pillar. Once the Shadow is confronted, recognized and correlated into the psyche, its tremendous energy resources and rich symbology can be harnessed by the conscious mind, which can in turn stimulate the Neshama. While more traditionally that happens through the elemental grades, Regardie believed it could also be achieved by the frequent practice of his OBW, which is an elaboration of SRP, a thorough examination of which you can watch on this channel. He also strongly advocated that the aspirant of magic can benefit from incorporating methods like the Jungian housewake or individuation. Having a similar aim, that's an approach through which the person becomes self-realized, a separate indivisible unity having all its aspects fully functioning. Also from Assagioli's psychosynthesis, which recognizes the concept of the soul and the libido and includes symbolism to initiate psychic integration. Comment. That given, performing OBW or perhaps SRP daily while getting further understanding through the mentioned systems might be optimal for the soul practitioner, but that's just my opinion. Feel free to let me know whether you agree. Chakras. In Chapter 8, the Ciceros clarified that while having some resemblance, the chakras and the Sephiroth differ. Though the placement of the chakras and the middle Sephiroth actually match to an extent, their attribution should be avoided as it causes confusion. The authors explained that the Sephiroth and the chakras have different functions, correspondences and attributions based on the system they are part of. Unlike the chakras which are located along the spine and correspond to parts of the body, the Sephiroth do not attribute to bodily organs. The 7 chakras are system on their own, whereas the middle pillar Sephiroth constantly interact with the other spheres and paths. On the contrary, due to being much safer, the middle pillar remains an excellent alternative to raising Kundalini, which can generate more energy than one can handle. Exercises. Speaking of that, the middle pillar also packs several exercises essential to the beginner. Besides LBRP and its Egyptian, Greek and Gaelic forms, that includes breathing and relaxation exercises, such as various forms of the middle pillar technique. My favorites are the 5 pillars, the 3 of life, which you can do with as many divine names and attributions as you know, such as the more elaborate revised middle pillar. The revised middle pillar. The 5=6 middle pillar is the most powerful version of the technique I encountered. It incorporates the names of the mystical tablet of union, modified pairs of the elementals such as Sephirotic and angelic names, Enochian and Sephirotic names. Interestingly, the order of the Enochian names in the instructions matches neither that of the spheres which follow the winds model, nor the way they are in the tablet of union. Yet, based on personal experience, you can make some slight arrangements to improve this match. You can also do the same so the right corresponds to your pentagram formula just in case you do not use the winds model, or experiment with the Sephirotic names within the elemental prayers. Either way, this revised Middle Pillar may be a great addition to your SRP, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what is yours, such as the role the Middle Pillar book played on your journey. Otherwise, like this video if it provides value, subscribe for more content like this, check my other works and books, especially the PDFs I made on the fields of operation and SRP, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for your time.